welcome to the podcast, Can You Take My Shift? Your favorite coworkers are off the clock and back for another episode.
Drum roll, please. Hello, and welcome back to a new taping of the podcast. Live and in session.
For you audio listeners, Kelsey pulled out tape and ripped it.
It's a sight gag. I'm like Carrot Top.
Yes.
This is peak comedy, Amy.
I'm sorry.
This is a comedy podcast here.
I'm sorry.
No, I know you think women aren't funny, which is correct. We are not funny.
No.
But, you know, we gotta try.
We try our best.
Yeah. People are getting laid off left and right. We gotta find some way to make money.
We gotta keep our jobs.
Yeah.
Here at the podcast, even though we're self-employed at the podcast.
Exactly. And I mean, Amy and I can't unfortunately sell our feet because we both have foot tattoos. Can't be anonymous.
Oh, and I don't feel like concealing that shit all the time.
No. I mean, there is some really good heavy-duty concealers.
Oh yeah, I bought one time when I tried to conceal the tattoo I have on my arm. It worked. But my issues is like I'm just so pale that you could still see the even paler concealer.
Ooh.
So it didn't really work.
Yeah. Well, welcome back to the podcast, friends. Hi, how are you? How have you been? Like, what's new? How's your mom? How's Brad? How are the kids? Did you paint that fence? Did you get that promotion? Did you get fired? Did you have a good poop? How you been?
Poop is probably the most important question there.
Yeah. Well, last podcast we did talk about bidets, so you know my poops have been great.
Absolutely.
Amy has still yet to try my bidet, but one day she will.
You know what's funny is I actually went up to your bedroom last weekend when you and Trevor weren't home because I thought I was gonna have to poop. And I was like, you know what? This is my opportunity to use the bidet. And then, unfortunately, I did not. And I was like, well, I'm not going to test it. I don't have a reason to. Oh.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. So, I tried.
I like the way you go. You're like, I'm going to go poop in their bathroom.
I'm not going to use a bidet if I don't have to go number 2. I think that's fair.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. I don't really want to do it unless I absolutely have to.
But poops aside, but it's okay. This is comedy. Poop is funny.
Poop's always funny.
But how have you been, Amy? What's new?
Not too much. Just on that work grind. I was supposed to say February's over. It is not. It just started. It just started, but January's over, which is really nice. I was out with some coworkers last night, and we got talking about just like things we want to do for the new year. And I asked my one coworker, I'm like, do you do New Year's resolutions? And she's like, no, I don't. So she asked me, like, do I? And I went, no, because I refuse to believe that January is a real month. Because I think January is just a complete write-off. And I feel like if a lot more people adopted that mentality, people would go through with their resolutions a lot more. Because I had some coworkers who were even trying to like do dry January, and about like 2.5 weeks in, just some stressful things happened, and they were like, I can't do it. So I just feel like when people hold themselves to so many expectations after coming off of the holiday season that is very stressful, you kind of set yourself up for failure. So I constantly tell people January is not a real month. Take your time to reset. And then in February, try in February, because February is also a short month. So you got less days where you have to like hold yourself accountable to things.
I do wish I had listened to you because January. So New Year's Eve is my favorite holiday because it's glitter, champagne, just like there's no pressure to spend time with your family. Everyone's having a good time. It's the promise of something new and wonderful. And then I was like, I'm gonna go like crazy with the creation. I'm gonna make my life better. I'm gonna post a video every day. I'm gonna work out every day. I'm gonna eat healthier. And then it all went to shit. I have been eating healthier though. I've been eating so much more vegetables, which is like the thing I am really proud of.
That's good.
But like my work went to shit. My work bestie got fired for something that was not 100% her fault, and I got super depressed over it. Um, and then just like general seasonal depression, and then I got a bunch of more work piled on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I asked for a raise, so they fired a person and they're like, instead of, hiring someone, we're just going to split his job into three and add it onto three other people's workloads. So I was doing a shit ton more work. So I was like, okay, this is a lot of work. He left it a mess because he got fired. He didn't do anything, I swear, for the last 3 months of him working there.
God.
Probably why he got fired. He was also just a major fucking raging asshole. Like, he couldn't even say hello. I got told, well, the partners they're gonna wait and see because your year review is coming up in March. So we'll hold off for now. And like March is only 6 weeks away. Like my HR manager, I know she didn't want to say no,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not her choice. She was like trying to she's very she's such a sweetheart. And like I've heard the partners yell at her.
Mm.
And she she can keep very neutral.
Yeah.
But she was like trying to spin it as best as she could, and I was like, fuck no, I'm not getting a fucking raise, and I've done all this extra work. And my brain, like, I did not want to look at Excel ever again. So I was like, all right, things are going crap. And, I was like, okay, it's February 1st. I'm like, all right, yesterday was fine. Today, I'm like, oh, it's Groundhog Day. I wonder if the groundhog's going to see spring or winter. No, he died.
Okay, this is the thing I was telling you about. So, yeah, it's Groundhog's Day. As we're recording, it's Groundhog's Day. They're like, yeah. Because I saw the news that, like, the American one, whatever the hell his name is.
Puxatawny Phil.
Puxatawny Phil saw his shadow.
Yeah.
And I had a coworker be like, we need to stop trusting this man to ruin our weather decisions every year. And I'm like, that is fair. And then I saw the one in Quebec died.
Yeah, his name is Fred Le Marmont.
Yeah, so R.I.P. Fred Le Marmont. But I also learned that in like Eastern Canada, they have a lobster.
Oh.
Yeah, so they have a lobster named Lucy the Lobster, who also saw her shadow. And apparently there's one also in Alberta named Balzac Billy. He didn't see
Sounds about right for Alberta.
Yeah, he didn't see his shadow. There's Manitoba Merv, who saw his shadow. And then there's one that's even like more northern in Canada, in like Labrador, where I always forget people live in Labrador. And I don't know how to say his name, but it's like Shabenkadi. I don't even think I said that right at all, but it's like something that Sam. Sam saw his shadow. So overwhelmingly, everyone saw their shadow.
Except for Fred.
Fred. Because, yeah, Fred died the day before, and I was like, damn. Me too, Fred.
Yeah. It was so weird, because I was on my lunch break, and I was kind of in a funk all day, and then I go on Twitter, and it says, RIP Fred, and I was like, oh, like who? Fred? Like,
Who died?
I'm thinking like of the famous Freds. Like, didn't Fred Armistead? I hope he didn't die.
Yeah.
No,
it's
Fred the Canadian groundhog was like, nah, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I'm not seeing my shadow.
Yeah. And he comes up to me the other day and he's like, are you still mad at me? And I was like, why was I mad at you? You said you hate me. I was like, it was a joke. He's like, so I'm not your work enemy? And I was like, first of all, you are not my work enemy. You are fun. I said, if you were my work enemy, you would know, because I would never utter a single word to you that I didn't have to. My work enemy is the raging misogynist who used to work on the third floor that now works on the fourth floor with me, and I hate his guts. He's a raging fat-phobic misogynist, and he is the tool of tool bags.
Sounds like a fun guy.
Yeah. So I was like, that is my enemy right there. Don't flatter yourself, sweetheart. Like, we're friendly. That is my enemy.
You know?
He thinks it's funny to make fat jokes at pregnant women.
Oh yeah, nope.
No.
No, he sucks.
Yeah. And he also does that thing where he walks and talks around the office with his AirPods in. You have an office. Go into your office.
I understand, like, walking around while talking, because I do that too, but walk around your office.
Yeah. And he has the loudest fucking voice too. So it's just like his voice, because you know when you don't like someone, like they could have a normal sounding voice, but it just sounds like nails on chalkboard.
Yep.
Even to just hear them utter a word, like how dare you speak?
Yeah. I had a coworker like that, and if I just heard him breathe, because he was a heavy breather, I'd be like, ugh.
Can you not?
Yeah, like, go get oxygen from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or just stop breathing. That's fine with me.
Yeah. So that's the drama, other than the shitty stuff that happened that I can't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought we would talk about internet drama, because there's very, very few times where the internet likes to rally together. It's very, very few.
Yes.
And the internet right now is all rallying together to be like, Netflix, you dumbass bitch. Because Netflix has long talked about, oh, they're going to stop people from password sharing. And people have been like, okay, it's kind of like, it's like when your grandma has Alzheimer's and goes, are you George Bush? You okay, grandma? Go sit down.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. But now Netflix has come out with these new rules. So, and it is wild. And the collective internet is, I'm sorry, what? So a couple of things. So you are not allowed to give your password and login to anyone outside of your home. They have to have their own account. If someone logs in outside your home network, Netflix will use the opportunity to market the new profile transfer feature rolled out last year. So basically what you have to do now is you have to sign into your Netflix account, like re-sign in every month on your home internet. So your home internet network. So if you're traveling, you have to get a temporary code for 7 days. You can't share your account. And I have to say, this is the stupidest idea they could come up with. So when Netflix came out, they were an innovator in the industry.
Yeah.
Netflix went so long without competition that they kind of got to Netflix. So we all know the whole Blockbuster was big. Netflix came out. Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix. They said no, and they're like, haha, Blockbuster's so stupid. Well, Netflix has blockbustered themselves.
Yep.
Because Netflix went so long unchecked, and now everybody and their dad put out a streaming service in the last 5 years. Now they have so much competition. And I mean, we've basically gone back to the way cable was, because streaming was supposed to be cheaper, but now if for paying for all these streaming services, it's like the same as cable. Like if every streaming service is $10 and you have 6 streaming services, that's $60 a month. And I talked to my mother, because my mother is Gen X or Boomer. I'm not sure which one. She's born in the 70s, I think.
I think she's X then.
Yeah. So I said to her, how much do you pay for cable? Because my mother obviously has cable.
Mm-hmm.
And she says it is $221 for cable and internet bundled with Shaw. So, and they have like I think, and they have like HBO and like a couple of movie channels, so that's how much they pay for a month.
They probably have like sports channels too, and those are usually
Sports channel.
premium. Yeah.
But if you have, but with the amount of streaming services out, because there's Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, now there's Crave, Paramount Plus, Hulu, like that gets up to over, I think now if you have all of those, that's over $100. So you're back to paying pretty much the same amount.
Yep.
And one of the big things was when Netflix first came out, how they got notoriety is people were like, hey, you want to watch this show? It's only on Netflix. Log into here's my account, log in so you can show the show. And Netflix literally, like, you know, those tweets that age so badly. Netflix has that famous one, love is sharing a password.
Yeah, I was about to say, people on Twitter have been clowning them all week for tweeting that however many years ago it was, and now saying, you can't share passwords. I think it was, I saw a tweet today from Phineas, like Billie Eilish's brother. And it was about that rule being like, you have to be home, you know, to log into your account so you don't get blocked. And he's like, well, this sucks for everyone who has to travel for a living, like me. Because if you're not home, like, obviously, there's celebrities on tour. What are they supposed to do?
Yeah, or I don't know, how about, like, also people in the military?
Yeah.
Sorry, I gotta end my tour right now. Like, I know you've said you're gonna send me to Afghanistan, but I have to come back in 30 days so I can sign into Netflix.
Yeah, I'm like,
and then go back.
The next season of Stranger Things is coming out. I gotta make sure I'm there to watch it. Like, it's so...
No War, Stranger Things came out.
Yeah, like, look, we all know companies now are just, like, trying to make money. And I feel like Netflix is just gonna be an example of again, like a business who just got too much power and then, like, essentially, like, lost the streaming war. Essentially is what's gonna happen.
So Netflix built themselves up and they were uncontended for so long, but everything that was great about Netflix, they have lost.
Yep.
And so Netflix was built on they had a bunch of old like comfort shows, comfort movies, and once other companies got streaming services, like when Peacock made their streaming service, they took The Office, Friends got taken. So people, all right, so now they've lost the comfort shows that had. One of the great things about Netflix was shows had all the seasons. So you're like, cool, I can watch 8 seasons of a TV show without having like 14 DVDs in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, or like, I remember this movie I used to love, but I can't find it. There your movie was. Or also Netflix decided like their first original programs were all so good and so well done. As we have said this before in a different episode, Netflix was built on the backs of lesbians. Orange is the New Black was the show that was the very first thing I watched on Netflix.
I think me too. I don't remember what the first like Netflix original show I watched was, but I remember like Orange is the New Black because that was when we were in like high school. And I think like everyone in the world had like that huge crush on like Ruby Rose at the time. And so like that was a big deal because also like it was huge that like this streaming company that had never broken into entertainment before now has this like top charting show that people can't stop talking about. And people are like, oh crap, like it brought like new competition into Hollywood. And so now there's that all the time. People are like, oh, like this show that's only on this streaming service is like really good. Or like HBO, like they came out with their own streaming service. And so those shows are specifically only on HBO, like the streaming services. So they built the competition up there. And now there's just so many different shows.
There's so many different shows and it's all about exclusivity. But the other problem is Netflix had this show called Sense8. And they canceled Sense8. And the other tweet that's going around is, we have learned from Sense8, we don't want to leave shows unfinished. Yet Netflix has consistently for the last 5 years been canceling shows after their first season if they're not an immediate huge hit. Like, unless they're the next Stranger Things or Bridgerton or Love is Blind, they're just cutting these shows. And these shows can be like amazing. They can have a shit ton of viewership, but if they're not record breaking,
Yeah.
they don't think they're making money.
That's the issue, is nowadays nothing is allowed to just do okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because obviously like costs more money to make a lot of these shows now. That's fine. That's inevitable because people deserve to be paid a living wage, as they should be. But as soon as they don't get a return on investment, people don't want to spend any more money because all these executives are making too much. Did you ever watch Sense8?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so I did. I had a coworker who was really into it, so he recommended it to me at the time, and it was a good show. Like, the concept was crazy. It was essentially from what I can remember, it was a show about like 8 people who were like essentially connected to each other, and they had to like help live out their lives essentially because they were being like hunted down by the government. But it was also like one of the really first big examples of like there was like queer relationships in the show, and like that idea of found family. And when Sense8 got canceled, it never got closure, which made a lot of people upset because they gave it like a special that wasn't good.
No.
I don't think I ever watched the special, actually, but I remember I watched like the first season and I was like, this was really good.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing, is they just cut shows off. And like I have a list of all the shows that I enjoyed on Netflix. So now a lot of people don't really want to get into shows because, you know, like, okay, when we think about back older TV, think about some of the most popular shows, like The Office, Parks and Rec. The first season of Parks and Rec is not good.
Same with The Office. The first season of The Office is like downright unwatchable.
But you were allowed back then to let a show get its footing because they could test things. Just like with streaming service now, you don't get 22 episodes. You don't get fun filler episodes. I hate that people call them filler episodes, especially so I don't want to do any spoilers for The Last of Us because I know some people aren't caught up. But episode 3 came out and some people were like, oh, this is a filler episode. And I was like, no, this is an episode about learning about the characters in this certain time during the apocalypse. Like, a lot of shows, they're like, okay, we only have 10 episodes, so it's here. You don't get time to learn things about the characters, invest in the characters.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing. So my dad does not like Lord of the Rings. Because he thinks the movies are run, we're here, fight, run, we're here, fight.
I mean, they are. Yeah, your dad's not wrong.
But for example, I like filler episodes. I like some of my favorite episodes. I can talk about bottle episodes for like forever, but I like getting to know the characters. I like being invested in them. I want to know what their favorite drink is.
Well, and like that, like thinking about it, like when everybody had cable and that's how you would watch shows, like Big Bang Theory got how many seasons, and we were all like so invested in it. Like I had seasons of I think I have like seasons 1 through 6 of Big Bang Theory on DVD. So it was just like a show my family would watch together. I had like a Soft Kitty t-shirt, you know. And thinking about it, that show, like, I think only ended a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But it had a much longer staying power in pop culture because it was on for longer. But even if you think about it, like Friends has come back like quite big, and people love these shows because they're so rewatchable and you can watch them for a long span of time because they have those extra episodes. Like, I don't really like to go back and rewatch shows anymore because I'm like, I don't get the satisfaction of like the fun filler episodes. Like, I think the best example of a TV show I can think of that suffers from not having enough episodes is Sex Lives of College Girls on HBO Max. Or if you're in Canada, it's on Crave. If any of you listeners have not watched that show, I implore you to watch that show. It is so unbelievably good. It has 2 seasons, and I think there's only 10 episodes in each season. And the episode's only 30 minutes, and that is not enough because I want to get to know these characters so much more because there's 4 main characters and then there's like another 5 like side characters, and the side characters are hilarious, but they don't get their chance to shine, or they get like one small plot point and that is it.
Like Sex Lives of College Girls is done really good at having like your ensemble cast. When we think of like great ensemble casts, we think of in comedy, we think of like Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
We think of The Office. I mean, it makes sense because Mindy Kaling was a writer and was on The Office.
Yeah.
So it does make sense. But like there's so many good side characters that you want to get to know, and if you could have filler episodes, you could get to know them even more. And I do think the show suffers from being a streaming show because there's not that many episodes. Like I could take 22 episodes. Like when I think of shows that go back, first of all, like Glee, if Glee came out today, would be canceled after 1 season. Like we would not let that show fucking fly.
We would have never gotten grilled cheeses, okay?
But I think of like the Vampire Diaries. That show, I don't even remember what happens in 50% of that show. That show has so many episodes.
That show too many.
Like you need to have filler episodes so you have more of an emotional impact when things happen to a character. Like when a character dies and you don't have like any emotional impact about it, you're just like, okay, like yeah, they died, but like when you know all these little things about them or you've seen them, it just makes it much more impactful. And it's like it's one big thing where people talk about, when they do book to movie adaptations.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, okay, so a good chunk of this book is missing, so it's not as impactful as the book.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh, if they turn the book into a TV show, that'll be more impactful. But I feel like it's kind of the same comparison is this TV show, if they had given it 22 episodes, would have been more impactful, but they're like, you get 10. And fuck you, you don't get a second season.
Yeah. Like, and I think that's one of the reasons episode 3 of The Last of Us is so good, because sure, if you want to think about it as a filler episode, go ahead, but it literally branched out on something that isn't really talked about in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole like, it's one of the point of like, especially video game adaptations of TV shows. People don't want, like, I'm sorry, when I'm watching a TV show, especially if it's a video game adaptation, I don't want to just see scenes of them like fighting or finding zombies or having to run or hide from zombies. If I want that experience, I'll go play the video game, thank you. Like, that's the point of a video game. The point of a TV show is to explore, build out the world. And episode 3 of The Last of Us did that. It gave us a character that was known in the video game, that very little of his story was really told, and just expanded upon it in the most beautiful way. And the reason I'm gonna get like teary-eyed thinking about the episode, because it just makes me so sad. It was so it doesn't make me sad, it just makes me,
oh, I thought about it for like days afterwards. I still think about that episode.
Yeah, like it's just great TV. And the reason it's good TV is because we got to learn about these characters, so when the episode ended the way it did, you felt moved by it. You felt like, I got to learn I got to learn about these characters, I got to learn their story. So how the episode ended, you're like, wow. And it still progressed to the story. You can have a quote unquote filler episode and still progress the story. Like, half of New Girl is like all filler.
Oh, yeah. And that's, again, that goes back to the thing is, New Girl is a rewatchable show. Because
love New Girl.
When a show ends on its own terms, it makes it more rewatchable because you go back knowing that you'll be fully satisfied. Like, I watched a show, so if we go to our list of shows that have been canceled by Netflix after their first season, we've talked about this before, Julie and the Phantoms, like, I love that show. I rewatched it, and the last episode, I got so sad because
Because you know, yeah.
I know I'm not getting a second season, and like Kenny Ortega said, like, oh, this show was meant to have, I think, 4 or 5 seasons, and like 2 characters were supposed to end up together, and we'll never see that happen.
Yep.
And it's kind of, I got to the last episode and I was just kind of sad because I know I wouldn't get the resolution. Or I have some shows like Veronica Mars was canceled on cable due to networks merging.
Yes.
And I love the first 2 seasons, but I won't watch the third because one, I don't really like the third season, and I know I don't get it the proper ending. And then they're like, "Oh, we're going to make a movie." And then I did not like the movie. And then they made I think Hulu made a final season like 20 years later, but I refused to watch it because I heard a character dies and I was like, no, I don't need to see that."
That's fair.
Yeah. So Netflix has done that too, where they picked up shows. This was like years and years ago. They picked up shows that got canceled too early and they tried to expand on them. But one of them was Arrested Development. Arrested Development was ahead of its time when it came out. Those first 2 seasons are so funny. But then
I started watching it because you said it was really good, and I think I only got like maybe a little bit through the first season, but I would just like, it's that good dry humor.
It's so good. But when Netflix did like 2 more seasons 10 years later, it's like they lost all of its charm. Because that show had, well, it did, because so the main character was, he was likable. He was frustrated all the time, but you still felt for him.
Yeah.
Netflix was like, what if we just made him a giant ass, selfish asshole? And you're like, that's not the essence of the show.
Yeah, that's not who he is. Like,
no. His family is like is full of idiots and he's trying to hold it all together. But you just made him super selfish and unlikable. And that's not. And then again, they made it smaller season because the Netflix likes to shove plot down your mouth without actually you learning about these characters.
Yeah, which does it such a disservice. If y'all want something to have staying power, especially in pop culture and in, you know, the era of social media, and like with shows premiering the full season on one drop, having those episodes is nice because it just, I think honestly what killed filler episodes was binge culture, because the faster you binge a show, the faster you can talk about it with your friends. If you have to sit through filler episodes, you have nothing to talk about with your friends, really, right? Like, you watched a new episode of Big Bang Theory, you'd be like, oh, you saw it? Like, yeah, it was pretty funny, but if it didn't, like, really move the plot along, conversation ended there. Until, like, next week, and then you're like, oh, man, like, this happened. So that really sucks. Honestly, Netflix didn't... The only show that they really canceled that I watched that I thought was, like, kind of funny was, like, that Space Force show that had Steve Carell that was supposed to be kind of like The Office, but, like, space. And it wasn't, like, the funniest. I think it got canceled after 2 seasons. Like, we've already talked about it. They canceled First Kill. That show didn't even really get a time to shine. We watched the first season of Winx Club. Fate, whatever it's called, the Winx Saga. I never watched the second.
I watched the first 3 episodes and I was like,
yeah.
It was not great.
No.
They canceled Sabrina when it needed 1 more season, which I was pissed about.
Yes. Okay, yes, I will say that because and we knew it was canceled before the last season came out, and then the last season was garbage. It was so bad.
And then they're like, we're gonna throw her on Riverdale and make it even worse, because like the first 2 seasons were so good, and then it jumped. But like the first season of Riverdale actually is not that bad.
I loved the first season of Riverdale. That's why I kept watching it.
What can we do to just like? But then you see, but the reason why Riverdale kept going is because It was CW. It wasn't Netflix. Because people are like, why can't they cancel Riverdale? It's like, well, it's CW. It's not Netflix.
Yeah.
It's cable. It's making the CW is not profitable. It is making them money.
Yeah.
It is garbage trash, and the creators are literally writing to see what they can get away with, but it is making them money.
Yep.
And a lot of shows you have to take a look at to see, you have to kind of look at it as an executive. All right, I'm a big wig executive. Money, 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 money. I feel like I need a mustache. Money, 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 money. What is cheap and what is cheap to pump out and is going to get a better return on investment? For example, the Netflix made 3 kissing booth movies. Those movies are god awful. They filmed them in, I believe it was South Africa, where it is cheaper. So places 9 times out of 10 are never actually filmed where they are set. If they are set in any major city,
they're never filmed there.
Never filmed there. So we live in Vancouver, where Riverdale is filmed. It's not filmed in Riverdale. I mean, it doesn't exist.
But yeah, it's filmed there. Yeah.
Yeah. Things that are set in anything set like 50 Shades of Grey. It's supposed to be Seattle. No, it's downtown Vancouver. It's Gastown.
Yep. There's a Netflix show. It's a horror show.
It was Yellow Jackets. I think that one's filmed here too.
Yellow Jackets filmed here. Maybe, you know what? Maybe this is all happening because Netflix made that show about Blockbuster, and then it did really bad, and then they canceled it. So I do kind of miss Blockbuster, I will say.
Yeah.
Nothing was better than going there on like a Friday, picking up a movie.
Oh. We had a Rogers video. That's where we went.
Oh. See, my mom liked to buy those Blockbuster, like at Christmas when they come out, those like Blockbuster like coupon books that were like in a DVD folder. Yeah. So we always had those. We always had like coupons. But I was never allowed to get the candy there because it was overpriced. Which is fair.
Oh, fair. Fair it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, it's a classic move of out of touch executives, out of touch money hungry executives throwing shit at the wall thinking this is what's going to work. It comes back to any job when you have a major company is you have to listen to the consumers and your lower level employees because they're the ones who know. We
were talking about Arrested Development earlier, and the mom in the show has that beautiful quote being like, "What's one banana, Michael? How much could it cost? $10?" Like, this is, to me, these executives are like, man, these passwords are so expensive. How much could they cost? Like, really not that much. It like you were saying, it's an example of executives being out of touch, and it's an example of them listening too much to stockholders and not enough to consumers. Because, like, look, I understand businesses have to give their money back to the stockholders. That's how they make, like, that's how they obviously, like, get people to invest and want to spend money and make money. But you can't give those investors their money if you're pissing off your consumer. So this time, I feel like whenever that thing goes into effect, you're just going to see Netflix stock
plummet. I think what's kind of great about... So this is still on topic. So you know when... dumb Musk bought Twitter, and he's like, this is a change we're doing, and then you could see in real time how it's like, that was stupid, different change, that was stupid. It was kind of fun to watch in real time how someone who literally was at one point the richest man in the world, thinking something's a good idea, and consumers were like, nah bro, it's not, and them going, oh okay, I take that back.
Yeah, like it's instances like these that always make me feel really good about my job.
Yeah.
Like,
so I wonder...
I might make spelling mistakes, but I ain't sinking a fucking company.
So I'm really curious to see is once this new strategy or dipshit idea rolls out, if we're gonna see actually, JK, what I predict is gonna happen is they're going to lose a shit ton of subscribers, and then they're gonna just quietly get rid of this, but they're not gonna announce it.
Yeah.
And people are gonna be like, oh, did you know like you can share passwords now? Because I saw this great video about this woman on TikTok who said, so Netflix is gonna make you log in every 30 days, but that means you'll for people who have to log in on their TV. Anyone, because you don't have Remember Me on your TV. So anyone who's ever had to log into any program through their smart TV knows it's a pain in the ass with that remote going click, 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 click,
Oh
click.
yeah, to type
click,
your
click,
like 30 character password that needs to have in like 3 numbers, characters. Yeah, it's not fun.
So they're not, so old people, they will get on the phone and cancel a streaming service before they type that email in every single month.
Yep.
Because I can see my dad going, you know what, it's not worth it. Because my dad, since he has cable, it means that you can use like the global app, but that logs you out like every month. So I stopped using it because my dad was like, you know, you only call me when you need a password.
That's okay.
So
I only call my dad when I need a flight discount.
Yeah.
Just
So
kidding. I don't.
We just don't use it because I can't be bothered to type in the password every month.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What's your prediction? That's my prediction, that it'll quietly stop and people will be able to share again.
My prediction is that they might not even go through with it, honestly, with the amount of stuff that's going on. It might be like, I don't know if all you follow like Dungeons and Dragons, but they had this like weird deal where they were not going to allow people to use their like IP anymore for free, and essentially you were going to have to like pay for it. So everyone who does like a Dungeons and Dragons podcast was going to have to pay the company, which made no sense because like Dungeons and Dragons was founded upon like people building their own stories.
Yeah.
And just the fact that they could monetize it was like lucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was so much backlash that the company was like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. But people are still pissed at the idea that they even said that they were going to do it. So I don't know if they're gonna go through with it or just do, or like be like, oh, we're actually gonna like test it in some regions and see how it goes, and then be like, it didn't work.
Well, so here's my one thing. So I'm just gonna put so I went to Netflix's help center. And so if you ever have a question, always like search up like FIQ and stuff. So you scroll to the bottom of their help center, and I'm looking for it, and everything we've seen about this new policy, it doesn't look official. It's all press release. None of it is coming from their accounts. So that is a sneaky way to put stuff out so they can be like, oh, that was talked about or taken out of context, even though it was like press releases go through like 18 people before they actually ever go out there.
Yep.
Well, they're supposed to. Not always. So when you get to the FAQ, you're looking, and I don't see any like sharing down here. Manage my account, can't watch, how to change your password, not compatible, how to pay, how to watch, how to download, how to create or change a profile. But like there's no inkling this. I'm even on their FAQ. So like it's suspicious. I feel like they are just kind of they tossed this out there to get public sentiment because they knew people for a while were going they said for a while that they weren't going to let people share passwords, and people were like, all right, we'll call your bluff, you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it. Oh, actually we are going to do it. And then but they haven't officially like even like I mean people take like tweets through official accounts as news because that's just the way news works now.
Yeah.
So they've put it out through press releases, through other people tweeting it, not Netflix themselves, to actually see, like, all right, it's, mom said, clean your room or you don't get ice cream. Clean your room or you don't get ice cream. All right, I'm throwing the ice cream in the garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is, like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't. With the amount of backlash. And if it does happen, damn, good for them. For, like, having the balls to fuck over their customers like this. But if it does happen, there is no way it's lasting.
No.
So.
But I think that's where we'll wrap this up today. All I can say is it's going to be very interesting to sit back and watch, but I will not be paying for Netflix.
I mean, I haven't ever paid for Netflix,
No.
so I sure as hell ain't starting now.
Exactly. But Amy, would you like to say goodbye to our friends and give them the outro?
Sorry, I thought I was gonna sneeze. You know when you have like a sneeze stuck?
Oh yeah.
Ow, that hurt. Yes, I can. I have recovered from my sneeze.
You're just stalling. You know you're gonna mess up.
Shh. Be quiet over there. But thank you guys so much for listening and or watching this week's episode. We always appreciate it. You can, oh my god, I am gonna mess up. You suck. I hate it here. You can listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, kind of wherever podcasts are found. You can find us. You can find us over on Twitter at CYTMS Podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Can You Take My Shift. And you can find us over on YouTube, also at Can You Take My Shift, where we upload the videos every time. When the episodes are uploaded for a podcast, the VODs go up on YouTube. So you can catch us over there and give us a like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. You can find Kelsey at Kelsey Peets on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. And you can find me, Amy, at Shelly Amy on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch as well. But until next time, Kelsey, can you take my shift?
No, I've got to go pirate Love is Blind Season 3 After the Altar. I got to hear about SK's cheating ass.
Oh my god, I know, I'm so excited. I cannot wait. Give it to me now.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.